Hello everyone, Thempire Ian here with another Elestrals Banlist. Sorry I'm getting to this so late. They released it during the holidays. You know, the holidays where I'm not around. Thanks, Elestrals. Anyways, the gates to Tartarus got opened? Question mark, exclamation point, new Banlist update? Let's turn that down before Dan blows our eardrums out.
Hey casters, today we're excited to share and integrate some new updates to the current Elestrals trading card game.
Let's turn that down a little bit more before Dan
As promised in our most
is a little
recent
louder than me.
restriction update video, we're back with our final changes to the TCG for this year and the current format.
I would
the
hope
live stream
so.
format has been full
If
of
you do another
initiative,
one
and we're
before the
very
year's
happy
out,
with the game's development
the year's
towards
already out.
creating fun game states and unleashing powerful threats.
That would be really weird.
New deck lists, strategies, and archetypes are created every week, and we're always looking out to see what the next big
Archetypes.
innovation will be.
Leonite!
The Elestrals trading card game is more fun when each player can do
I
the
can't
things
believe
that their
Leonite
deck
became
and
like a
strategy
playable
want
deck.
to
That's
do.
really funny.
And the live stream format has consistently shown new ways for players to do so across different elements and playstyles. We evaluate strategies around three key strengths: speed, consistency, and resilience. It's okay for decks to be good at some of these, but
If your deck has speed and resiliency and not consistency, I hate you.
not all of them at once. When strategies become too
I
dominant,
don't know, man. This part really bugs me. I get speed and resiliency, I guess. I really don't like the idea of, oh, we balance this deck by making it not consistent. Oh, so like half the time it blows me out of the water and the other half of the time it does nothing? Cool, awesome, thanks. Really appreciate that.
and prevent decks from flourishing, that's when we need to take action. It's important to note that no ban or restriction
that just
is
seems
considered
ridiculous to me.
permanent. And with the release of each new set, we'll continue to monitor and review our ban list and evaluate whether any changes are needed. Today, I'm excited to announce some new card limits to the game, as well as some card unlimits to shake things up.
Whoa!
All changes highlighted will take effect on December 29th, 2025, ahead of our first online Premier tournament of the new year on January 3rd. Now, let's take a look at all of the cards that we'll be limiting to one copy in the upcoming format. The first card we're limiting to one is Morphrost Bat Form. Morphrost has become a very
This was always going to have to happen. This card is actually insane. All it really takes is some good Morphrost to be printed, or even just an okay Morphrost, like the one that they did print. I don't know. I feel like Chimera Form is not as good as it should be, or is better than it should be, just because of stuff like Bat Form. Bat Form is such a crazy card. I think having only one of it is going to actually not. It's going to change the Morphrost deck that is meta, but it's not going to change like the Morphrost package. And I think I'm okay with that. I think the Morphrost package is cool as hell, so I think this is fine.
popular
I think this is a good
strategy and
change.
deck archetype, with the new
But it's
addition
probably not
of
enough to
Morphrost
stop
Chimera
Morphrost,
Form.
right?
When paired with Morphrost Bat Form, it
I don't
becomes a
know.
very resilient deck that's tough to keep up with. Therefore, by limiting
And by
Bat Form
Morphrost
to one
package, I mean the
copy,
one that's like Lichen. You know, you use the Lichen form to grab Bat Form and the other one, and then you discard the Bat Form and it summons Lichen form.
we encourage players to invest more in their
Scorpio
Divine
form.
Rune, Kione, to help recur Morphrost forms and limit the deck's ability to establish a consistent board repeatedly. Next on the hit to one copy is Tadpuff. Over the past couple months,
Yeah,
we've seen
I mean,
the powerful
like,
and dominant strategy
yeah.
of Locagon
This was
fully
always-
take over the live stream meta.
Like, as soon as
We really
Locagon
like
was
this deck's game
printed,
plan and
this is
consistency,
going to have to
however, it's a bit
happen.
too fast in our current format. It's okay for Aphrodite to serve as a strong engine once online, but Tadpuff applies the pressure that Locagon presents
But,
a bit
like,
too quickly and a bit
I don't know that Tadpuff is the problem, right? Isn't Locagon the problem? Like, Tadpuff is a really powerful card. But shouldn't we be allowed to have powerful cards? As long as they don't do too much, and then the too much comes from the other cards that are doing too much, with the Tadpuff's ability to let them do too much, right? This has always been my thing though. Like, I hate removing consistency and playmakers instead of removing end board. And obviously Elestrals is in a slightly different position from Yu-Gi-Oh when it comes to that. So the position is different, right? But I feel like there's like you could just I don't know. I don't like a Tadpuff hit necessarily. I think something had to be hit. I feel like Tadpuff is not the correct to be hit. I feel like Lakagon hit could be good or something else. I don't know.
To repeatedly. By limiting Tadpuff to 1 copy per deck, players will still be able to unleash their Lakagon strategies. However, they will require a bit more care, ultimately allowing other decks a bit more room to breathe.
And then, but like that is true, yeah. But what about every other water deck? Now, every other water deck takes a hit because Lakagon was too strong instead of hitting Lakagon specifically.
Also joining
not
Tadpuff
every water
is
deck,
its
but you know what I
Frost
mean.
Nexus form, Tadflow. While Blizztrix doesn't have the
And like, okay, so like just as far as Banlist philosophy goes, if you hit Tadpuff, you have to hit Tadflow because it is almost exactly the same card just for the Frost deck. And the Frost deck is
the self-mill strategy
not
has
as
become a bit too
I wouldn't say it's
when
as
paired
strong
with
as
Tadflow,
Lakagon.
as it
I don't
helps
think,
cast a surprise
but it
Eye
is
Willy, which leads to a potential full board
surprise
to face.
Eye Willy
This
is
deck and strategy can be
fucking
quite
annoying. But and I hate to say this, surprise Eye Willy is only annoying because Elestrals refuses to print any cards as good as Eye Willy. I think every card should be as good as Eye Willy.
swingy. Therefore, a limit on Tadflow will help keep
Maybe
this
not
experience
quite
from
as strong as
becoming
Eye
too
Willy,
common
but
for players.
you know,
that's it for our limits.
We
in
just
this
like
new restriction update.
we're out here printing like some of the worst cards I've ever like just boring cards, not even just bad cards, boring cards.
Now let's take a look at some unlimits. The first card,
and then we have to hit every interesting card because it actually does something. It's madness.
Moving from our limit list is Race to the Top. This card was one of our
Speaking
first
of
limits
boring
in
cards,
2024 and has remained at 1 per deck since. Even with the growing popularity of Thunderstorm and Bronzeglow deck lists, Thunder has struggled to keep up and remain relevant in the current livestream meta. By removing
Race
this
to the
limit,
Top
we hope
shouldn't
to
have
see
been
players
banned in the first
experiment
place.
more
It
with
wasn't the
Thunder
problem
element
card.
and regain the ability to swing the game state back in their favor. Now, finally being removed from the limit list is none other than Equalinks. A year ago, Equalinks was an oppressive
Now this is a
force
little
and
interesting.
staple card.
Equalinks is still a decently powerful card. Will that matter? I don't know. I don't know if the meta has shifted enough for this to matter, but it won't hurt
and
Earth
routinely
decks.
destroyed multiple opposing runes with its Nexus effect, while surviving behind a wall of efficient counter runes. This is something we don't often see now, and we'd like for Earth to regain the opportunity to control runes on the field. Now, let's heat things up with the unlimit of Kinleo. The Fire Artifact archetype has cooled.
This one, same deal, kinda, but I feel like Fire Artifact might have a little bit more of a chance of sneaking back into the meta than Earth, but Earth has Dionysus now. I don't know. It's hard to say. Cats back.
Kinleo rewards a divine.
I don't think the deck
playstyle
Cats is coming
while
back,
preventing the
but
opponent's field from getting out of hand. With
I don't
this
know.
change,
I like
we aim to
these. I
reignite
think
the
these are
fire
cool,
element and
interesting
allow
things to
players
shake
mix
up.
up their playstyle with new Nexus strategies. All 3 of these cards were restricted when the Elestrals trading card game looked very different, and efficient removal was one of the defining factors of a successful deck. We hope these updates encourage players to experiment and improve the comeback potential across multiple elements and strategies. That's it for our limits and unlimits. However, we have one more change that we would like to make, one that we can no longer avoid. For the first time ever, we are opening the gates and releasing a card that was sent to Tartarus. Like a void.
Remember when they were going to errata this guy? And then they printed another version of it that's Champion of Artemis released from Tartarus? And now a month later it's back. This is so fucking funny. Like a Void is one of the coolest cards in all of Elestrals. That said, it is way too powerful for the current format, I feel. Maybe not, maybe way is a little bit of an exaggeration, I think. It is very powerful for the current format. It is in a lot of decks. I think for the most part, at least currently in this early format, the only people who aren't playing Like a Void are people who just don't want to play Like a Void for ethical reasons. Or just because they're bored of it. Like a Void. This card is incredibly strong. Unbelievably strong. And it's back, baby. This is a fucking Yu-Gi-Oh card being brought into Elestrals. Which I think is awesome. I think this card is so cool. If they printed cards of a similar strength level to it. But they don't. They don't ever do that. They don't do that. If the entire format were full of Iwillies and Like-a-Voids and Lakagans and that kind of thing, like every deck had something interesting and powerful to do, Like-a-Void wouldn't have been banned, right? But I am not so sure that this was a good idea to unleash yet. I feel like perhaps we should have waited a couple more months at least a couple more sets, perhaps. I don't know how fast the power creep is going here. We seem to have gone at an astronomical rate thus far in the past couple of sets. But I feel like the time was not quite right for Like a Void. But what do I know? I don't have a banning team, a ban list team. Oh, wait. Neither do they anymore. Interesting. I don't know. I mean, like, there's a distinct possibility in my mind that the Like a Void is overhyped and it's not actually going to be as impactful. People are just playing it because they think it's going to be very impactful. And once we see actual tournament results, it's not going to convert as well as we think it will. But I'm not really sold on that idea yet. I think it is still quite powerful and impactful, and it's going to see a lot of play and a lot of results. But I will reserve final judgment until we actually see those results. Again, there is a world in which it is not as meta-warping as I think it is. I am really glad they didn't do the errata. I'm really glad they made way to Escape from Tartarus for it. And I'm glad it is going to have a chance to come back into the format, because I think, again, it is a really cool card. But I just don't think it was the right time yet. Like, even if it doesn't see any results, or it doesn't see a ton of results, and it wasn't as impactful as I think it is, even then, I don't think it was the right time to bring it back, just because of the optics of it. Like, the optics of bringing this card back like a month or so after you banned it the first time, just miserable. Why would you bring that upon yourself? I just don't understand some of the decision making that happens in Elestrals HQ. I don't know. Anyways, I hope you have your full moons still and your Like a Voids, because they're coming back, baby. Oh, Boise. Oh, man. I'm genuinely shocked that it is off the list so soon. Do you think if they ban it again, they'll give it a Champion of Artemis release from Tartarus print? I think they should. Champion of Artemis released from Tartarus, captured in Tartarus, brought back to Tartarus. Yeah. And, we're still not doing anything about like the back row suite at all, which is really fun. I don't know if it even matters anymore, but like I feel like they're still really annoying, just as a thing that exists. You have to keep in mind, particularly Gorgon's gaze. I don't know. Like, I don't know. Maybe a lower power format doesn't require an infinite impermanence.
Artemis. This was one of the most heavily discussed bans earlier
I guess it's more
this
of
year,
an
when the card was initially
effect
released in
veiler,
Divine
maybe?
Champions
It's not even
Firestorm,
that, 'cause it's not a hand
alongside
trap,
a
but,
wide
you know.
variety of existing support. This Lycovoid proved to be too powerful for the meta at the time, ultimately leading to being banned shortly after release. We later released an Escape from Tartarus title variant with a new effect in our Artemis starter deck from Livestream. We're very happy with the decision we made at the time.
By the way, if you have any like really cool Champion of Artemis Escape from Tartarus prints, oopsie. I mean, at the very least, because it has a separate title, it is still something you can play alongside Lycovoid Champion of Artemis. So if you're playing like a suppression-based deck, you can actually have both of them in there. That's actually kind of cool. That's what I like about the title system. It's so efficient at just letting you have cool stuff like that.
However, we believe it's now time for Lycovoid Champion of Artemis to make its return. With Livestream's increased focus on synergy, Lycovoid's splashability is less of a concern, now that multiple elements have been granted.
I just don't think that's true, Dan. I just don't think that's true. I literally just don't think that's true. It is definitely going to be splashable. You can splash this in any synergistic deck. You can splash it in Lockagon. You can splash it in... well, you probably shouldn't splash it in Blitztrix just because of that, the way that deck works. You can splash it in every other deck, though. That's like the one deck where that doesn't. It isn't the case.
The Escape from Tartarus variant of the card will continue to be legal for the foreseeable future.
Until you start putting locks on cards, it's going to be the case. Okay, so here's the final list. What we're looking at, we still have a limit on Lavalith, which probably still has to stay. Tadpuff, newly limited. Tadflow, newly limited. You heard my thoughts on those. I think it's a little annoying, but I get the reasoning. More Frost Bat form actually kind of makes sense. That card is just crazy. Really powerful extender. Removing the extension ability doesn't actually change the package, but I think the package is fine. But it removes some of the resiliency of Morfrost, if we're going by the 3 pillars there, and that I am fine with. Archelaus still being on here is, I feel like it doesn't need to be on here anymore, but whatever. It's funny that like 3 of these are lists, by the way. Very, like, just an incredible, more lists, please. I like more good lists, please. I like the idea of these lists being like a really powerful centerpiece of the game. Morlith is our 3rd, and yeah, probably needs to stay at 1, especially as Blitztrix continues to be a menace. Pharaohgeist, my boy. Never got to be a menace, but probably should stay there. Earthquake, resting on your laurels, like until we have... I was about to say until we have more stuff. I feel like these probably need to stay here regardless. Viscerus could come off. Why the fuck is Viscerus still at 2? Who gives a shit? Just bring it off. Drataya, Elachik, Sparkit. Yeah, gotta stay. Hurricane, I don't want to come back. It could probably come back, but I don't want it to. Rise from the Ashes, I feel like... I don't know. Whatever. Like, I could go either way on that one. And Helios Chariot Ride. Helios' Chariot Ride. Fuck that card. Do you think they'll make Escape from Tartarus versions of the runes? Like, surely, like, is that something they ever are going to consider doing? They haven't done it yet, but I'm wondering, like, maybe in the future? I don't know what that would look like. It'd be kind of interesting. Yeah. It's weird. There's a lot of changes here, but a lot of the changes are removing stuff from the list. So this graphic doesn't look as impactful as it actually is. A lot going on here. But I feel like it doesn't fundamentally change the format. I think it'll make it slightly more open because we've removed some of the repeatability and consistency of Lockagon and Frost decks in general. We've hit some of the resiliency of Morfrost. We've brought Lycovoid back, which I would... This is going to sound like an insane comparison. I would kind of liken Lycovoid to Fiendsmith. Fiendsmith is obviously a very powerful engine in Yu-Gi-Oh! But like what the cool thing about the Fiendsmith is that it was an engine you could slot into a lot of rogue decks to make them able to contend with more meta competitive decks. And I feel like that's going to be like a Void. And just like the Fiendsmith, though, it has the same problem where the meta decks can also play it and just run that as well. At least for the most part. Again, I think Ballistrix might avoid it, but even then they might not. They might not like avoid it. So I think because of those things, we're gonna see a little bit more opening up of the format. I think Fire looks kind of nice. Dionysus got a nice buff, while Lakagon and some of the Frost decks got, honestly, not super substantial hits. They're still very much in contention, but certainly hits. So yeah, like I said, I think it could open up a bit. I don't know if it's going to shift a ton. Not at least not until we have our next set come along, which we're starting to get reveals for. And as usual, I assume myself and Golden Nova will be doing a big old roundup react of those eventually. So I guess keep an eye out for that. In the meanwhile, thank you for watching. Let me know what you think of the ban list down below, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye! Hey there, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. I've got a lot more for you if you want them. Just hit that subscribe button and ring the bell to get notifications. I'd also appreciate if you left me a like and a comment and maybe shared the video around with your friends. You can also follow me on all the usual social media sites. Just check out my website in the description below for more info. My videos are funded by my patrons, Ko-fi subscribers, and YouTube members, whose names you'll see scrolling by in these credits here. For just $1 a month, you too could find yourself here, trapped in my end screen for all eternity, among other benefits. In particular, I'd like to thank Jeremy Coatney, Frog Prince Michael, Fleakill, Haru Hayes, the Almighty Ferret Lord, Fire Mizumi, Beastman, Bryn, and Beelzis. A big thanks to all my patrons and to my little community as a whole. Remember to be kind to yourselves, be kind to others, and have a wonderful whatever time it is for you. Bye-bye!